It had taken 12 years, but Twisted Sister finally had a smash album with Stay Hungry in the summer of 1984. But before the year was out, frontman Dee Snider was arrested for disorderly conduct at a Texas concert, and the sisters began a stunningly rapid decline.
After that arrest, you started to see Twisted Sister more and more on the nightly news. Whenever a politician, a religious fundamentalist, or some activist had something bad to say about rock and roll, they would always bring up Twisted Sister.
Twisted Sister became the poster child for everything wrong with rock and roll.
In the spring of 1985, Twisted Sister was accused of peddling sonic smut by the newly formed Parents Music Resource Center. Co-founded by future Second Lady Tipper Gore, the PMRC wanted record companies to provide warning labels on albums with explicit covers or lyrics.
Some of the album covers are very explicit, and they're in the record bins available to young children.
Prodded by the PMRC, the U.S. Senate began hearings on the issue in September of '85.
What does SMF stand for when it's spelled out?
It stands for the Sick Friends of Twisted Sister.
You are a disgusting slob!
The sisters were quickly accused of producing violent videos.
I said, look at the situation. Stuff happens to Dad, he gets up, he's unharmed, there's no blood, there's no gore. I said, I took everything out of a Roadrunner cartoon.
I felt like we were on a witch hunt. I really did.
Dee insisted that the PMRC had it all wrong. He also revealed a side of himself quite at odds with his public image, that he was a teetotaling family man.
I'm 30 years old, I'm married, I have a 3-year-old son. I was born and raised a Christian, and I still adhere to those principles. Believe it or not, I do not drink, I do not smoke, and I do not do drugs.
He was disgusted by the situation, and it made him sick. I was surprised he let himself get sucked into it, because it's a no-win. You cannot win in those circumstances at all, but he went for it.
Dee's revelations didn't have much of an impact on the senators, but they made a big dent in the bone-chomping crooner's angry man image.
We were outlaws when we started. We were the biggest outlaws in the business. And they don't want to know that, well, I'm really going to go home and hang out with my wife and my kids.
I thought, this is not what kids want to hear. You know, this is the guy that they use to piss off their parents. Now he's starting to sound like their parents.
Dee was a parent, and a happy one at that. But having achieved the success he'd always craved, he lost the angry creative edge that had defined his songwriting.
For me, that was the big challenge, to stay mad when I'd proven everything that I'd set out to prove. I remember clear as a bell sitting in a $1 million house, poolside, 2 boats, 5 cars, and I'm in the sun trying to write the next angry teen song. And I can't think of a friggin' word, because couldn't be happier.
The same couldn't be said for the rest of the band. As the primary songwriter, Dee got the lion's share of the royalties, leaving the other sisters in his financial dust.
First, they're all in apartments, and Dee buys a house. How come he can afford a house? You know, we're in apartments. And then they can finally buy houses, and he's in a mansion. And they're buying a new car or a truck, and he's got 8 of them.
The bad blood within the group intensified in the fall of '85 as Twisted Sister prepared a follow-up album to Stay Hungry. The other sisters say that despite his creative drought, Dee was more domineering than ever.
The band was internally destroying itself, and our greatest weapon against the world was now turning on us.
Oh, it's so nice to see you all inside my dreaming world.
Dee all of a sudden became a megalomaniac, and it was just like, it's my band, it's going to go my way, this is what's going to happen. And because of all of that, you know, it just fractured us.
I was out of control.
He was abusive sometimes towards some of us.
Out of control in the sense of just driven, past the point of driven, and I just believed my own hype, and there was no talking to me.
was convinced that he still knew best, but he realized that the revelations about his private life had damaged Twisted Sister's angry appeal. So he made a desperate move to regain his biting image.
I wanted people to be a little bit put off by my appearance. So I wanted to do something that would just like shake them up a little bit. You know, you like to keep people on edge. And I figured, filing your teeth. File your teeth, that's brilliant. If you file your teeth, people are going to think, no matter how nice this guy's being, he's got 2 fangs in the front there. There's something seriously wrong with this guy.
Dee filed down his front teeth, hoping to look more menacing. But in the end, it was the sales of the sisters' new album that proved downright scary. When Come Out and Play was released in November of '85, most fans refused the invitation. The album failed to chart and barely went gold, selling just 1/10 of what Stay Hungry had tallied.
Come Out and Play didn't live up to expectations. So there was too much put into the image of the band, and the music just was too schlocky and sugary. It didn't have the edge of old Twisted Sister music.
The perception that Twisted Sister had gone soft was reinforced by the album's first single. A remake of Leader of the Pack, a 1964 hit for the all-girl group, the Shangri-Las.
And I think it'll open up a whole new audience. Instead, it killed the band.
No one got the joke. The video was lame, and the song was lamer.
They told her that I was bad, but she knew I was sad.
I was no longer threatening. They thought I was fun. Then fun became funny.
Almost overnight, the sisters found themselves abandoned by their public. Mark Mendoza felt Dee had turned the sisters into rock and roll clowns.
We were a playing machine. We really were. And the band got away from that, making these outlandish videos. They catapulted us into the spotlight, maybe too fast, too soon, and for the wrong reasons. Because after the joke was over, the band's popularity just crashed. You know, because we weren't taken seriously.
The final slap in the face came when the sisters were rebuffed by the very same outlet that had catapulted them to success, MTV.
Be cruel to your school.
When the group released the video for Be Cruel to Your School, the music network deemed it too violent and banned it from its airwaves.
Come Out and Play was a tremendous blow to my ego and a blow to me emotionally. My life started coming apart at the seams. My relationship with my wife was suffering, my relationship with my family was suffering, my friends were suffering. My band, which I thought was indestructible, fell apart.
Little more than a year after ruling the charts, Twisted Sister was in critical condition, but they still hoped to turn their careers around. In March 1987, the band released Love Is for Suckers, but the album and the tour that followed sank without a trace.
The tour was really a vague shadow of what the band was. We had stopped wearing the makeup. You know, we had costumes, but we sort of fell into line with what other bands were doing. You know, instead of being Twisted Sister, we were now, I don't know what we were.
It was pretty sad how it ended. I knew it was over. Absolutely knew it was over. No two ways about it.
With their fans gone and their twisted family falling apart, the sisters decided to put away their makeup once and for all in the spring of '87.
Bands spend most of their life fighting the world to get where they go. And then when they get there, then they destroy themselves.
Dee sent us a letter officially saying that he resigned from Twisted Sister and all his responsibilities, and it was probably good I wasn't around him because I was going to hospitalize the guy. He was going to walk with a limp for the rest of his life.
One of the things that bothers me the most about the fact that a band that came on so ferociously and fought so hard and was so powerful went out with like a thud, a whimper. We just sort of disappeared.
Next, Dee Snider hits rock bottom.
I was like answering the phones and doing a little bookkeeping for $5 an hour, riding a bicycle there because I didn't have a car.
When Behind the Music continues. Less than 3 years after being one of the hottest acts in the world, Twisted Sister was completely out of the music business.
We're not gonna take it anymore.
In the bitter aftermath of the band's breakup in the summer of '87, bassist Mark Mendoza blamed Dee Snider for the sisters' unraveling.
I wanted him dead. I wanted to see him die. Not by me, I didn't want to kill him. If he got into a plane crash or a car wreck or something, he had a good riddance to an ass.
His hatred of me was to the brink of near physical violence. The Mark thing is the saddest part for me of the Twisted Sister breakup. It's the loss of a best friend.
In the years immediately after the breakup, all the sisters tried separately to hook up with new acts, but nothing lasted long. Even Dee Snider's new band, Widowmaker, was left at the altar by rock fans.
I realized I stayed past my welcome. I mean, alternative rock had come into vogue. The new kids wanted new heroes. At that point, I realized it was over.
It was a rough period because when all you do is music and you've been in a band your whole life and you made it to that level, you know, you can't just look in the New York Times under R for rock star wanted, must have a serious drinking problem and be a severe womanizer.
The only people who wanted anything to do with Twisted Sister were lawyers. In the early '90s, litigation over advances for tour endorsements forced both J.J. French and Dee Snider into bankruptcy.
That killed me economically, killed me spiritually. It was like a death. Everything gone, balls of your ass. You don't got a dollar.
By the summer of '93, Dee was the penniless father of 3 children. Things got so desperate that the formerly wealthy frontman took a part-time job at a computer company working for minimum wage.
I'm doing a little bookkeeping and riding a bicycle because I didn't have a car, and riding a bicycle home and putting in 40 hours a week or whatever so I could get like $200 in cash to put food on the table. It was dire.
By the late '90s, Eddie Ojeda, A.J. Pero, and Mark Mendoza had left their twisted lives far behind, holding down day jobs in New York. J.J. French recovered from bankruptcy and returned to the music business after several years to manage the band Seven Dust to 2 gold records.
I feel like Al Pacino in Godfather 3. Just when I thought it was out, they sucked me back in.
As for Dee, he's had a truly amazing rebirth. In 1998, the one-time metal maniac penned a soothing song called The Magic of Christmas Day. It so touched one producer that he gave it to Celine Dion to record for her Christmas album.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly.
I said, does Celine know it's me? She goes, no. I said, well, don't tell her. I said, you know, all I want is to think Satan's writing songs for the, the angel of music.
Of course, Dee hasn't totally abandoned the dark side. In 1999, he created a horror movie called Strangeland. And since then, he's entertained listeners with a rush hour radio show in Hartford, Connecticut.
Anyway, Dave from Wilkett, how you doing, man?
Good, Dean. It's Jay, by the way.
I apologize. We've got an idiot answering the phone.
I do morning radio now. I really love it. I'm really happy with it, and I'm good at it.
As for Twisted Sister, it took 15 years for a family reunion. But in the summer of 2000, the band came together to play at a party for Atlantic Records rep Jason Flom. Although for Mark Mendoza, the gig was a hard sell.
I haven't spoken to Dee for a long time, many years. Why should I voluntarily walk into a situation which could be explosive?
But once Mark signed on, the gig generated good vibes. And on the eve of the release of a Twisted Sister tribute album, the band itself began rehearsing together again.
We certainly love playing together. I mean, it brings back a lot of great memories.
I'm quite surprised at how much it sounds the same, you know, like we almost never stopped.
What will become of the rehearsing is yet to be determined. Dee Snider, for one, is happy with where his life is going now, and he hopes he won't always be remembered simply as the embodiment of a band called Twisted Sister.
I wouldn't mind at the end if people say, you know, Dee Snider died. He was the lead singer for the band Twisted Sister in the '80s, and he did radio and television and all those things. You know, I would love to just be viewed as an artist.
The original Jukebox Heroes, Foreigner Behind the Music, premieres Sunday at 8, 7 Central on VH1.